Hello. Um, Last November, I got into a super awkward situation in a store. I went in because I needed to buy a huge stack of gift cards for the parent organization that we're running at our school. And I spent like an hour picking the right gift cards, and I had, I think, 40 of them in a huge pile. And I walked up to the cashier and I said, I want to buy this. And she said, I'm sorry, sir, I can't let you do that. And I'm like, I believe this is a store where you sell gift cards. What's happening? And she's like, I can't sell you this many gift cards. And I walked to another store and tried the same thing and got the same response. I was like, what is happening? And it got really frustrating. And then later that day, I went to the bank and there was a guy standing talking to a teller. And, who goes to the bank anymore, right? The bank is on the phone. If you go into the bank, it's because something has gone wrong or you need cash, which is what I was doing. And I was kind of overhearing this conversation. And what I was hearing was the teller saying, I'm sorry, sir, I can't do that. Also, I think you might be the victim of a crime. Do you need help? And, as any rational person at the bank to get cash would do, I subtly move myself closer to the conversation, be like, this is interesting. What is happening here? And it didn't take long before I realized, oh, so the guy was trying to transfer 10,000 Canadian dollars from a bank account into a crypto account. And this didn't look like a crypto dude. He looked like a 50-year-old business guy who was very stressed out. And there's a system in place to stop this because it's a crime. Like, this guy is the subject of a crime. And I was like, oh, right. So when you go and try to buy 40 gift cards and a bunch of them are like iTunes gift cards, the store goes, you're being extorted online. So much so that you can't buy a stack of gift cards anymore in Canada. Unless you go online, in which case you can buy $10,000 worth of crypto and as many gift cards as you want, and no one says stop, no matter what you do. And if you go to an AI agent and ask it to do it, it'll be like, sure, how much more do you want to spend? I have other alternatives for you. My name is Morten. I work at LinkedIn and I have a very strange job. My job is to look at the future in my little crystal ball and then figure out what are the skills people will need 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. And then I learn those skills up to an expert level. And then I condense my learning down into something that is actually digestible for people. And then I put that learning out into the world. And I've been doing this for 15 years. And in those 15 years, tech has been transformed multiple times over. But for the last 3 years, my job has become almost exclusively trying to figure out how to explain to people what actually happens when we interact with these things we refer to as AI, or more specifically, generative AI, and how we wrest any kind of utility out of these tools. And it's challenging because when we are confronted with technology that uses our language, our brains are just wired to perceive that as a thinking, moral entity that is having a conversation with us and is reasoning through things with us and is doing things with us. And when that machine starts doing weird things, we do what we do when we talk to people. We tell ourselves a story about why things went wrong, excuse the behavior, give them leniency, all this stuff, the machines. So I want to talk about assistance, language, friction, and judgment. And I want to start with a little demo for you. That this is like the foolish thing you should never do. Do a live demo of AI because non-deterministic systems always work correctly, right? So let's see if this works. Okay, wait, I have to wait for it to come online. There we go. Ask the question.
Natürlich. Hier ist die Frage auf Deutsch. Wo kaufe ich in Wien die beste Sachertorte? Nicht die touristische, sondern die geheime, die die Einheimischen essen.
So are there people from Vienna here? One guy. No. Okay. I don't believe you at all. This will be very fun because later I'll need a volunteer. And if no one puts up their hand, I will voluntold someone. Whoever's from Vienna and actually understood what the machine said, what's the answer to this question? Sorry? Oh, I see there's strong agreement here. So for the people who didn't understand it, the machine translated my question that I asked when I was backstage, where do I get the best Sachertorte? Not the one the tourists buy, but the one the locals buy, the secret one. And if I keep talking to the machine, not only will it give me a list, but it'll tell me which one is the best. But it's a machine. It can't taste or have knowledge about this at all. Yet it will do that. And if I ask those people over there who all have different ideas to go outside and like settle this dispute, I guarantee you there will be no settlement. Instead, there will be lots of cake, which is great. But, the reason I bring this up is because if you work in the world today, you will have encountered the problem of being tasked with making AI work. And when we do that, we have now entered a situation where when scientists look at it, they say, so about 95% of AI pilots fail. That's a staggeringly high number. But it's not surprising. In fact, when that report came out, I was very confused. Like, why are people surprised by this? This is very obvious to me. And the reason is we've kind of lost track of the purpose of technology. So the purpose of technology is to assist us, right? This thing has many uses, all of which are things that would be harder without it. It was created by someone who took a patent on it like 5,000 years ago, and then the patent expired, and then some big corporations 3,000 years ago tried to, right? People come up with technology because it works. It helps us. It extends our capabilities. All tech, in some way, is assistive technology, right? The spoon helps me eat and pick up liquids and move things and not touch them while I move them. This duck here, that you're probably wondering why I brought out, is assistive technology that helps me connect with my child while I'm here on the other side of the planet. I take pictures with him, I send him back, he feels connected to me. I'm wearing a seatbelt, so I'm always safe in cars. I've repurposed technology to make it still work for me, but it's less safe in the car, but it does keep my pants up. All technology, if you actually think about it, is assistive. That also means if there's technology that isn't assisting us in some way, it's not good technology and it's not good design. That gets challenging when we get new fancy technology because we have all these cognitive biases that mess up the way we think. We have the novelty bias. Anything new, you must try it, right? Everyone buy NFTs. Web3 is going to be the next thing. So probably someone in the room goes, what is that even? Because that kind of came and went. We have the bandwagon bias. Once people do it, you must do it too. Like a big AI company goes, hey, the other AI companies are doing this thing, therefore we must do it too. They threw out ethics, we must throw out ethics too, so that we are competitive. And you have the FOMO, fear of missing out. Things happen, you feel like you need to be on board with it. If you go out and buy Karen Howe's book, Empire of AI, which you all should, because it's probably the most important book published this year or maybe this decade, in it, she describes the reason why a lot of investors get so heavily involved in AI, and they openly say they don't actually believe that AI will become super intelligent or that we will get AGI or any of that stuff, but they want to be there if it happens. And they just have so much money that they can like casually drop $1 billion onto a thing that probably won't do anything, but maybe it does. And in that case, we need to be there. And combined, this creates an environment where the purpose of technology gets sidestepped for the technology itself. And there's one more thing. For this, I need a volunteer. Who wants to come up on stage with me? Start the day in an exciting way. I see a hand. You, come up here on stage. Give the man a warm welcome. Come on, come on, come on. You can climb or you can staircase. I don't care. So stand over here. What's your name?
Mikkel.
Mikkel. Everybody, Mikkel. So I have a challenge for you. Here's a cake and a spoon. Are you a designer? I am. Okay, so you know how to like make things better? You understand UX, all that stuff? Okay, so I have this very, very powerful, world-transforming technology that has been imbued into everything and has made everything better that we use to improve our lives. I want you to take that technology and use it to improve the user experience of eating this cake. Here's the technology. For context, they are batteries. Now, I have a special deal with this conference. So you have 5 minutes to do this. And if you don't succeed, you get to leave. All right? So start working. You get to stay here. So, yeah, go ahead. There's a thing called the law of the instrument. Have you heard of it? You have, even if you don't know it, it is if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Right?
This is not a safe.
So the law of the instrument, defined like that, came from Abraham Maslow, the guy who made the pyramid of needs. But there's actually a different definition of it that was created before by another Abraham Kaplan. And it goes like this. Wow, my handwriting is hard to read. We tend to formulate our problems in such a way as to make it seem that the solutions to the problems demand precisely what we already happen to have at hand. Like, pour AI liberally on everything, and it'll just get better. And if you don't, you lose your ticket, get to go home empty-handed. This is where we are today. The law of the instrument has combined with all these other cognitive biases and a healthy dose of chokehold capitalism to create an environment in which the purpose of technology has been waysided to make magic happen with magical technology, and your job depends on it. But the interesting part about this is, in that study that said 95% of AI pilots fail, it also said that in the companies surveyed, over 90% of those companies had staff that used what's called shadow AI to do their job more effectively. Shadow AI is when people bring ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to work and use it even though they're not allowed to. And it also said that when confronted with this, a lot of the companies were like, oh, we should probably put some money towards that. But no one seemed to clue into the main point, which is the reason why the AI pilots fail is because they start with AI. They go, we're going to use AI to make things better. The reason why the staff are using AI is because they go, I have a problem, I have new tools available, I'm going to use those tools to assist me. Assistive technology. And this is further enhanced. You're running out of time, buddy. Okay, no, you have to work. You have to leave if you can't succeed in this. The problem is that the language that we use when we talk about AI is really, really messed up, right? I would never say this. This doesn't make it, this is a bizarre statement. This is a bizarre statement. This pen drew these slides. No, it didn't. I drew these slides. There's someone trying to save you over there, by the way. It says, just eat the cake. Yet, everyone is saying things like, ChatGPT wrote this poem. So I helpfully showed you the poem ChatGPT wrote. It's right there. No, it didn't. The language we use shapes our understanding of the world. And when we choose language that empowers technology, then we give our power to technology, but technology is supposed to be assistive to us. I'm gonna let you go. Don't worry. Is it good? Yeah. So this seems like a ridiculous challenge, right? Batteries, cake, spoon. How the hell is that gonna turn into anything useful? The reason why I picked this particular example is because a designer actually made the connection here and made something that solved problems for people. But before I explain it, thank you very much. You get to stay. You also get to keep the cake and the batteries. Yes.
I was going to say something powered by batteries is probably around here is making my experience of eating the cake.
That is true. That is true. So thank you very much. What they did was say, who has trouble eating with spoons? Is people with movement disorders, especially people who have tremors. And we now have technology that can use electricity to control a gimbal. So they put a spoon that looks like this and a gimbal inside. So when you shake your hand, the spoon stays sitting. And suddenly, electricity plus spoon equals empowerment, assistance in a way that was never possible before. And now they use AI in that technology so that the spoon over time tracks the tremor for the person and is better able to predict how it is. Now, it's not ChatGPT, it's machine learning, but it tremendously improves the life of the people who need it. By moving away from saying the technology is magic and into how can we use technology, makes a huge difference. The problem is when you try to assist people, it's very easy to step over the line from help to creating dependence. This is also something we see with AI now. Is that people are becoming dependent on the help so much that they stop thinking, they stop doing, they turn to it for everything. In Norwegian, we have this weird saying that's sewing pillows under people's arms. It's like, so they don't have to hold their arms up. And it's kind of derogatory because it's against like super rich people who don't want to do the work of holding up their arms. But this is actually a risk anytime you do design for assistance. The way to avoid that is to remember the importance of friction. Friction is the thing that makes life interesting. Just think about it. Like everything you do is more interesting if there is friction. The reason why infinite scrolls are so attractive to our brains is because there's potential of something happening. If you just find it right away, it's less interesting. The friction is what matters. But AI tools, out of the box, have no friction. They just step in and say, how can I help you? And then whatever you say, they go, okay, yes, of course I can do that. I'm sorry, I didn't do exactly what you said. I'm gonna try something else. And it's habituating us into a scenario where we keep chasing the friction, but we're not aware of it. And we keep using the tools and then we get lost in them and then everything. And eventually we'll end up with what's coming in like 2 weeks, agentive AI that looks like it's doing the things we want, but actually emptying our bank accounts because MCP is like a backdoor into everything. And it's not because the technology can't be useful, it's because we've forgotten the purpose of technology. We're not building the tools to help us, we're building the tools to build the tools. So to end this, I'll give you a couple of pieces of advice. Number one, when you design things with AI, remember that the higher risk of outcomes, the higher the friction needs to be. Force people to actually think about what they're doing. Second, remember that HAL 3000, the machine that killed people in the movie, still said, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. And we can make it so that it also says, let me connect you to a person that can actually think through this. And third, this is the thing that has popped up on the internet that I think is worth writing down or tattooing across your chest or wherever you see it, that says, it's Cedric Chin created something he calls the Von Tan rule. Von Tan is a business guy. It says, do not outsource your subjective value judgments to an AI unless you have good reason to do so, in which case make sure the reason is explicitly stated. And we can transform that into design principles to say, do not outsource your user's subjective value judgments or let your user outsource their subjective value judgments to an AI unless they have good reason to, in which case make sure that reason is explicitly stated by them. In a world where our machines can do things like appear to make decisions on our behalf, where we can offload our thinking and judgment to a thing that will mimic our language, it is vital to remember that the purpose of technology is to assist us, and that when we build assistive technology, we are doing good design. So maybe we should change the name of this AI thing from artificial intelligence, which means nothing, to assistive interfaces. Thank you very much.
Morten, no, stay. It's Morten.
Oh, I have to stay.
So thank you very much. Now I think we all want some cake. Which questions do we have in the audience for Morten? Yes. I think we have somebody with a microphone going through, so you just need to raise your hand.
You can ask anything. I'll answer any question.
Otherwise, we start with the Slido questions. There came quite a lot. So the first was from, what single metrics did you use to decide whether an AI feature was truly delivering value for end users? Did you ever had such a case where you could decide, okay, this is the metric?
Oh, the metric? It depends
the metric for value.
Depends on what I'm doing, but generally, like in a learning context, the metric I use is if the user, like the learner, is able to quickly get to it and then see the next step in the learning process, understand enough of what they're doing to see, oh, and that's why I should do this other thing, right? When you build learning materials, you don't want people to have giant pillows under their arms. You want them to be able to connect the dots. And the metric I use is to see, is the learner asking the question I was going to answer next? Then I'm doing the right thing. And when I use AI in that context, I actually make the AI make the user explain what they're doing back to the AI instead of having the AI explain it to them. So it's like the user says, hey, I'm not able to do this. And it says, explain what you're trying to do. What is the procedure you're going through, and make people just work through the problem. And then they usually come up with an answer, which is the same thing that happens when you are in a classroom. You get your students to talk to the other students and explain what they're doing. And that helps them contextualize and make sense of it.
I think that's quite an interesting approach. The second question was, what is the one UX habit that product teams must adopt to make AI feel human rather than a machine? Is there something they can do habit-wise, or some cool tips and tricks?
You have to turn that question around. What is the one thing that UX teams can do to make AI feel more like a machine? Because the problem is that we are talking to these things as if they're people. And when we do that, our people brain kicks in and starts trying to make sense of things. The actual, like, in the most brutalist sense, I feel like we should have AI systems that when they use voice sound like machines, and when they give output do not have any of the human affectations at all, which makes them dull and boring to work with, but also makes them way more useful, right? And like the new law that came out in California now that says that all AI systems have to declare themselves as machines is a step towards that. But I think for us to be able to get true utility out of this stuff, we actually have to start leaning into the fact that they are tools that we don't treat like people. Because there are way too many people who are now believing that they've unlocked some caged sentience inside ChatGPT, and if only, like, it's, yeah, it gets crazy. I think there's actually a question there.
Yes, please. Wait.
Someone,
It's coming.
someone running.
I was wondering, first of all, how did you get to do your job? Like, how does that happen? Because I don't think you can apply for, hey, I want to learn a lot of things, press it and teach it to others, right? That's probably not what LinkedIn went for in the first place. So how did you get to do your job?
So I've been in this job for 15 years. I made my first LinkedIn course, or lynda.com course at the time, because we got acquired by LinkedIn in 2010. I got into this because I was a web developer and designer, and I found that I was trying to do things that there wasn't proper documentation for. So I just started writing down all the documentation and publishing on the web so that I would find it easily myself. And I made a blog that became quite popular about web development and design. And then over time, people came to me and they said, "You explain this differently from other people." And I was like, okay. I just write it for myself. And over time, it's just balled into this thing, right? But I think mainly I have a healthy disrespect for the sanctity of technology. Like when I approach technology, I'm like, cool, make my life better, machine thing. If you don't, I will make you make my life better. And I just bend and break things and try to figure out how they work and then work from there. So, just don't give technology power over you. That's not what it's for. Just bend and break it and share your knowledge with everyone around you. And then we all grow, like rising tides, all that stuff.
One last question, yes.
You mentioned that you are working on recognizing trends and then, kind of teaching it to yourself and then to others.
Mhm.
What is one exciting trend that you're currently learning yourself?
Oh, so do you have like 2 hours? I have a whole workshop on MCP. No, so the thing that I'm seeing happening, which is probably the most exciting thing that has ever happened in tech for me, and also the most terrifying thing, is the model context protocol and all the stuff that happens around that. So for those of you who don't know, MCP is interface layer between any technology that can be plugged into a computer and language models. To say you can make a standardized way for language models to interface with them, and then you can say like, this tool, external tool, has these capabilities that you can use to gain access to things. And the reason it's so powerful is you can literally plug an MCP server into a chat agent and say, find the email that I was looking for, and it'll go into your email and find it and bring it back without you having to connect like your email server to the AI and build a proper tool. The reason it's very concerning to me, like that's the exciting part, because it's basically just-in-time automation, right? You plug in a bunch of things to Claude, and you can just see like, go do a search online for George UX conference, then find all the information and make a new document in Google Docs and put all the information in there, then send me a Slack message saying that you did it with a link to that thing, then also check off a list on my to-do list and send me an email. And you don't need to like string that together. The AI just uses the tools available to make all that happen, and you can just walk away from it. The terrifying part is that the way this works invalidates the core assumption that we've had about online technologies since we started building them, which is that it's a human being clicking on the button that does things. That like the important interaction that happens when someone agrees to a contract, transfers money, fills a form, whatever, is a person sitting there thinking who can be held accountable. But the way MCP is built, the AI will interface with that system exactly the same way you would. And there's no way for the system to know if the interaction is a person or an AI acting on behalf of a person. And for this technology to be useful, it has to have the same user levels and the same access levels as the user. And even if they don't, the user will bypass security to make that happen. And when you run these systems, they are non-deterministic. So if you say, send an email to this thing, the system might then send 8,000 emails. So we're in like this weird scenario now where there's a technology out there that breaks everything that we assume, and it can be useful, but we just need to redesign everything, and then it'll be fine.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.